businesses.
All right, the recording is on. So I think we are ready to kick off our webinar. Welcome. I'm Diane McKeever. I am the education chair at the Minnesota chapter of SCORE. I'd like to welcome you to our weekly webinar. Today, we are happy to have Doug Jensen with us. He is going to be talking about the business model canvas. And if you work with a SCORE mentor, as you should, you will be working with the business model canvas because it's something that all of us really have a feel for and understand that it's a fundamental part of determining whether or not you have a good business idea. Not all business ideas really are good, but I'm sure that yours is. And with a little massaging, you can understand what aspects you need to work on. So before we get started, I want to tell you just a little bit, just briefly about SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide organization that offers free, confidential mentoring. Doug, could you click? Let's get to your next slide. There we go. We offer free confidential mentoring. Our chapter, the Minnesota chapter, has nearly 90 volunteers waiting to serve you. Our chapter recently was recognized as a district chapter of the year, and we are very proud of that. Our SCORE has been around for almost 50 years and has helped an enormous number of small businesses. We are supported by the SBA. When should you contact SCORE? Well, in any phase of your business, really. Do you have an idea? That's a good time to contact us, and we can help you understand whether or not that idea has legs, as they say. Or you've started a business and you need a little help with your marketing or your finance, contact us. Or you're in business and you need ideas to increase your sales, to grow, contact us. Or lastly, you're thinking about buying or selling a business. We have a group of people who are dedicated to that aspect of business development. So contact us and apply for a mentor. Visit our website at minnesota.score.org. There you can apply for a mentor. You can find other workshops and webinars. We have weekly ones, so there's bound to be one that's of interest to you. We have podcasts that are stored on there. And lastly, we have templates and other resources. I have put a link in the chat. I'll put it in again in a few minutes, where you can download this BMC that we'll be referring to today, and perhaps you can print it out and take your notes on it. You will be getting a recording of this presentation as well as the slides. Lastly, I'd like to thank our sponsors and community partners. You're going to see a number of these in the next few weeks who are actually making presentations about their businesses, about their affiliations, and I think you'll find them to be very interesting. So without further ado, let me turn this over to the incomparable Doug Jensen, who will explain the BMC. Take it away, Doug.
Hey, thank you so much, Diane. Greetings, everyone. We're really excited to have you join our webinar today. We're going to talk about successfully building a business based on the business model canvas. And the BMC, as we call it, it's dynamic. It's a brainstorming tool. This is the basis of creating a business plan. And any successful business has a business plan. And it can be a little bit of work to get there, but it helps you focus on the deliverables, the value, and gaining and maintaining customers. So again, it's the framework. And in many cases, it's enough for doing a startup or just a periodic check of your business. And the BMC is a basic tool. It applies to virtually any business. I mean, Boeing Aircraft can fill out a BMC, as can the single entrepreneur with an online business. So it applies to a new business. You can evaluate and improve an existing business with it. It's also valuable in completing what's called due diligence. In the event you're looking to buy a business and you want to evaluate what their value is. It's an assessment of your existing business also before you offer it for sale. And it applies for profit and nonprofit. So it can be for a brick and mortar place. So it could be a single person shop selling something downtown. It can be for online. It can be for multiple. So you could have a shop plus online. And it's applicable to nonprofits as well. So it's general purpose. You're going to find that regardless of the business, there are a lot of overlapping areas that apply to almost everyone. So we look at 9 specific areas, and I'm going to get into more detail later on in the presentation. But we break the business down into 9 logical pieces. It's important to do that. Otherwise, everything gets jumbled together. So when we look at something like number 1, value proposition, we don't care so much at this point about cost and revenue and so on. And then we go to customer segments. So each is a logical piece that we think about, work on, and develop. And then when we complete the 9 foundation pieces, we have a good composite strong BMC. So blank sheet of paper, good starting point. Now we look at the value proposition and what value do we deliver to customers? This is really, really important. Which of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? What bundles of products and services are we offering to each customer? Which customer needs are we satisfying? And what's the minimum viable product? So what does that mean? It means if we build absolutely the finest automatic networked cloud-based mousetrap, it might be overkill. So we might be investing an enormous amount of time and money and resources in something that has a minimum return once we hit the what the customer really wants. Now, this value proposition means they're not going to come to you just because you say we're the best. Everybody says that. I have a company and my product is absolutely the finest in the world. What we need to do is develop a communication statement as to why it's the best for the customer. What customer problems are we going to solve that other competitors can't solve? So this is the basis for our value proposition and USP. And we'll develop more of that as we progress. So far right, customer segments. Now, with 7 billion people in the world, who are we going to sell to? Good luck trying to sell to everybody. So that's where we have to start breaking people down into what are called segments. And we look then at demographics. So, and we're going to discuss and describe that further as we go on. But you're going to target certain customers or customer groups. There can be more than one. And that's going to help us hone our value proposition and strategy, distribution channels, messaging, and all the other pieces that we need for a successful business. Then we look over here at customer relationships. So what type of relationship do we want with the customer? How do we get, keep, and grow customers? What relationships have we established? How are they integrated with the rest of our business model? How costly are they? So costly is how much does it cost us to attract and maintain a customer? And I think one of the key things that we need to focus on in business, if this is not a one-time only transaction, we need to nurture the customer to keep them. There have been so many studies done where it can cost 10 times the amount to gain a new customer as it does just to maintain a customer. So protect your customers, embrace them, and kick your competitors away from them. So keep them happy, and they'll come back and buy more products and services. So channels, how do we access the customer? So we look at customer touch points. What's a touch point? Anytime we reach out to a customer or the customer contacts us, it's a touch point. and it should be a positive experience for the customer. We need to do this periodically, not excessively, but it can be through email, so a newsletter, just, hi, how are you? Are you satisfied with the last purchase you made? It can be online on your website with some new information for a new product or service you're offering, a new testimonial for one of the products or services you have. So that's channels. And those channels with the touch points really create additional value for the customers, and it keeps them coming back to us. Okay, key activities. So what do we need to do to sell our products or services? So what do we need for our solutions, our sales channels, customer relationships, revenue sources? Key resources. What are the key resources that we need for our value proposition in terms of the offering, our sales channel, for our customer relationships, for the revenue streams? And we're going to go through more detail with this later. This is just an overview. And the key partners. We're going to have partnerships. And who are the key partners? A key partner is somebody or a company that we're purchasing goods or services from, and they're important to our business. So it shouldn't be just a one-time event. Hi, hey, can you send me 100 of these next week? So that's the type of thing. It's a relationship, and it should be based on strength. So you become a key partner for them as well. And what do you need to do to acquire key partners as well? Okay, bottom right, revenue streams. And what's the value our customers are willing to pay? What do they currently pay? And what's the revenue model look like? What are the pricing tactics? So revenue model can be customer purchases one product from you today, and then you want them to expand their purchases and come back and purchase more products. And it can be online. So you make it very easy for the client or the customer to purchase online and to come back and buy more products and services, or you can even make a recommendation when they place an order to consider expanding it into a different product that you have that's complementary. And the cost structure, very important. What are the most important costs that you have for your business? And which key resources are most expensive? Which key activities are most expensive? So the key is we want to invest the minimal amount of money that drives our business to make sure we have money available for other areas, for product expansion, customer expansion, and so on. Okay, now we're going to talk more detail. The BMC, value proposition, customer profile, and some research observations. Now we talk about a SWOT, S.W.O.T. This is really important as well, and this ties into the BMC. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we're going to discuss doing a SWOT analysis on your business, but it ties in hand with doing a SWOT on your competitor. What this means is you need to go out and look at and understand your competitor. And it doesn't have to be every competitor. You can pick maybe your top two, for example, and look at what are they strong in, what are they weak in, what opportunities do they have, and what threats do they have. And a threat, of course, would be you with your business, but they may not know that yet. Okay, so strengths. And I'm not going to read every single point here. We can download this and you can go through it. But the strengths are areas that you feel and you believe, and it's not just bias on your part. These are the strengths that you have, and it can be a unique feature in a product. It can be fantastic people that do customer support. Could be installation, could be post-sale support. It could be overall satisfaction that customers have with your product because of its features. You could be faster in delivery, faster and better in customer support. These are strengths. And typically of a business, we're going to be biased. So you're going to come up with fantastic list of strengths. Then when you do an analysis on your business and come up with weaknesses, you'll have zero. And that's not true. There's going to be some that you will have as weaknesses. For example, well, we've got this feature in a product, but we're missing this other one that customers like. That's a weakness. We don't have a physical presence where most of the customers are. That's a weakness, right? Our customer does a much better job in post-sales follow-up than we do. That's a weakness. So these are the things you need to look at, and you've got to be really objective, and it's not easy to do that. But you have to be as objective as you can and come up with your weaknesses. And a weakness doesn't mean something that you need to fix today, but you need to be aware of it. And if your competitors are really astute, they may know where your weaknesses are, and they may be positioning themselves against you. And you can usually pick that up when you understand your customer buying habit. So that's the weakness. Opportunities. So where do you have opportunities? Are there trends and dynamics in the market that you can take advantage of early? So this is an assessment that you need to make, and be prepared if it looks like a good enough opportunity to take action and move on it. And then the threats. Do you have or are you developing products that competitors are likely to eclipse you with? Something that is faster, easier to use, smaller, cheaper, whatever. And is it a threat? Are you likely to have somebody steal your business away in the short term? Are there any particular areas of that's dangerous to your business as well? It could be geographical location, which may be a weakness. Are there trends that are affecting your business? So market and the customers are shifting into a different service or different product, and they're not going to buy your product anymore. So these are threats. And that's more a subjective analysis of what's going on in the marketplace and the dynamics of your competitors. So SWOT is really very, very helpful. And again, you do it on your own company and also do it on your competitor, because you're going to look at their weaknesses. And when I do this with some of my clients, we're surprised at what we find. And it's great insight. And it provides an opportunity in one company in particular to jump in and do something. And it really helped his business an enormous amount. And it took a while for the competitor to figure out what was happening. Okay. So we talk about strong words or S words. And this ties into value proposition. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you different? And better is the operative word there, not just different. Why are you better than your competitors? And these are the things that, again, there's some bias that comes into it, but we have to try and be as honest with ourselves as we possibly can. And if we can't identify clearly why customers should purchase from us rather than another company, we've got to go back to square one and work on changing that. Okay, so now we're going to step through with some other examples and better definitions and discussions. Value proposition, first box. And this is typically the first impression your customer is going to see. So this is when they call you, this is when they email you, when they send you a letter, when they go to your website. There has to be a statement in there that gets their attention. And this is a definition of what you're selling to who and why you're the best choice. And it's going to weed out people that just found your website but really aren't potential customers. So they'll go away. And the ones that read your value proposition ought to say, gee, this looks like the company I want to do business with, or at least I want to learn more. That's a win. That's exactly where you want them to be when they go through your value proposition. And your value proposition on your website needs to be up front and center somewhere, so they don't have to drill through 2, 3, 4 pages and look for it. It should be something that almost hits them in the face, because you've only got about 15 seconds when they find your website the first time for them to make an assessment to see if they want to pursue it. Okay, it's also called unique selling proposition. And it should be a simple, concise one. You don't want to get into lots of sentences and words. What you need to do is get their appetite wet, right? And again, this is the company. I'm going to now look deeper. I'm going to go into page 2. I'm going to look at some of the products they have. And it really gets them to be much more interested in your product. So this one is really important. Okay, so here's an example, a company called Square. So what do? They have a system, which is mostly just this little add-on thing you plug into your smartphone, and it makes transactions easy for small businesses with credit cards. That's it. Very simple. So it's accessible for credit card transactions, low price, convenient. You can get custom reports, reduces risk of getting card numbers stolen, and it's easy to use. So that's fundamentally, those are the key points of the value proposition. So if I'm looking for a point of sales piece, maybe for a trade show or in my one-person shop, this looks pretty darn good. It's got my attention. So the VP for them worked. Okay, customer segmentation. So we talked about 7 billion people in the world. Who do we sell to? You have to divide it down. And we're going to talk about demographics based on certain characteristics. So let's start on the left first. Geographic. What's the geography you're going to sell to? Now, if it's a physical store, it's probably going to be maybe Bradenton or Sarasota City. It could be a mall somewhere. And fundamentally, that's what you're going to target. If it's online, it opens up the geography quite a bit. So, and you may end up with 2. There are many businesses that have both a physical store for local purchases, and they also have an online presence, and they take orders online, and that's fine. So you can have multiple geographies, just depends on how you're setting your business up. And then the demographics. So within, let's say, Sarasota, who do we want to get in our walk-in business? Do we want younger folks? So let's say from 18 to 24. Are we looking for 24 to 45? Are we looking for 45 to 60? How do we want to break that down? Income. Are we looking for higher income people? Are we looking for lower income people? Is it a lifestyle choice? They're looking for organic foods. They're looking for organic stuff for their pets because they care about Fluffy the cat and Winnie the poodle eating the best of the food. So these can be lifestyle choices, right? So that's how we start dividing our demographics up. And why do we want to do this? It becomes important when we do the marketing and we need to communicate to these demographics because we have to go find them then. And that's frequently the job of a marketing organization. Once you go through this, you can say, here are my target customers. Here are the demographics. Or you can do it yourself through some library resources. So that's how we define that. So the segment, who, small business owners, this is going back to Square. So they targeted small business owners, 27 million in the US, and their customer segments, right? So typically, individual business owners, corporate retail, smaller outlets, and so on. So that's how they defined it. And it's pretty clear. They've restricted and set the boundary conditions for the target markets that they're selling to. So the value proposition, finally, It creates accessibility for credit card transactions, low price per transaction, convenience, customization of reports, risk reduction. It's easy to use. That's a very powerful, simple value proposition, very effective. So if I'm looking for a solution like that for my business, and I go to their website and I see right away this value proposition, I'm interested. This is what I'm looking for, so I'm going to look. So that's a win for Square because it got me to get more involved with their website and their product. Okay, channels. So there are different types of channels to reach customers. We talk about marketing. That's a channel. So it's a customer touch point to communicate our value proposition to prospective customers, makes our products and markets available, products and services, allows us to foster a relationship with the customer. And again, we want touch points with customers, and we want to reinforce a very strong, positive, long-lasting relationship with our customer. We want them to come back and buy more. And we want to expand services and products. In an industry, that's frequently called wallet share. So if you purchase one particular product from us, if I'm the business owner and I want to find a customer for another product, frequently the best way to do that is to go out to existing customers and inform them about this fantastic new service or product that they didn't buy. And if we've done a good job in satisfying them and they have a need, they're going to come knocking on your door or clicking on your website. And this is good. So you get in deeper with existing customers, build up a longer, more valuable relationship. And as you introduce new products or services, they're great places to contact as first purchasers. And okay, also, how will we deliver our products or services? And there are many different ways to do that. So we talked about brick and mortar, single shop. It can also be online, or you may have a product that you're going to sell to distributors, and the distributors in turn are going to take this out into the marketplace for the ultimate end user of the product. Okay, now market research. Who, where do we sell? We develop customer profiles. We have to slice into the segments. Now, focus groups, large companies use focus groups, and they can be elaborate and they can be costly. But what a focus group is, it's getting a group of people. After you figure out who your segments are, you get a group of possible customers together around a table, and you talk about a prospective product or service. And you get their feedback, reaction, recommendations, and so on. And that can help develop the feature sets of products and services in a more optimal way to reach into these customer segments. Now, that may be too much for many businesses because, again, it has a tendency, it can be elaborate. Camera companies use these. The analytical instrument companies I work for, we use them, but they're these are much larger types of companies. But the key thing is to do the research and figure out what it is and who they are and the best way to reach them. So we talk about best way to reach them, and it's going to be multimedia. Today, it's digital. So we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, your website, developing a blog for your website as well. Sometimes print still works. I am still surprised at how much junk mail I get in my mailbox every day. Enormous amount. But guess what I do? Do I throw it out immediately? No. I stand in front of the recycled bin. One by one, I look at who they came from, what's the outside message, this is value proposition, and see if it got my attention, and then I drop it into the recycle bin. So as much as we hate mail, guess what? It still works. And we just did a webinar on that, in fact. So it's a great channel. It can be a little costly, but we should think about it always, depending on our product and service. Sometimes it could be as simple as a card, right? And a card is easy. I mean, you can read both sides fast. That's the brilliance of one of these simple cards, and they're cheap. So we keep that in mind. And for your marketing communications are going to have a mix of different types of marketing communication, right? And it depends on what the product is and the service. So, okay, where do I get the information? Good question. First, you can go to a marketing communication, Marcom company that does website development, search engineer, SEO, so optimization of the search engines and so on. And they can do it. Many of them can anyway. You can also go off to the library, and they have fantastic digital resources today on demographics. They can get a lot of ownership, ages, income, marital status, consumer data, lots and lots of information is available in the library. And one of the best ones is Mergent Intellect. And the Bradenton Library has a fantastic online digital library that you can access, and it's really good. So you can do a first level or a second level investigation and some research and come up with some numbers for yourself.
Can I just say that, oh, July 20th, guess what the topic is for our webinar? Emergent technology or emergent demographics. So think about signing up for that. Sorry to interrupt, but I had to.
Oh, hey, no, thanks for jumping in, Diane. It's really good. I've sent a number of clients there, and I said, you have to, you can work with the librarian. They'll show you how to use the databases that they have, but you can really get a lot of good information. And it'll help you focus and narrow down the segments that you want to target. They also have online, and I was really surprised, they have a wealth of business plans, depending on the type of business you have, and research trends. It's really very, very good. So I encourage everybody, if you don't have a library card, go get one and run up to the library and talk with the people up there. We pay for that with our taxes, so it's a good return for the money we pay. Okay, customer relationships. Now, what is that? It really it's a definition of how the customer relates to us and how we relate to the customer. And our focus always should be on generating the highest level of customer experience, because we want the customers to embrace us and come back to us. So very, very important. Strong customer relations lead to loyal clients. Great word of mouth, which is really important for referrals. If a customer has a great relationship, good experience with your company, when they're together, either on a golf course or a tennis court, whatever, pool, or just having some tea with their neighbors, they're going to talk about how great your company is. And you're going to hear, oh, really? Right? And now you've got referrals. And this is good because they're free. As long as you treat the customers well, they're going to pay it back to you with referrals. So you look at Apple or Home Depot. Okay. Key activities. Areas to consider. Operations and production, of course. Cost control. So you want to do the maximum for the minimum cost. And we talked about having the finest mousetrap in the universe, all Wi-Fi and cloud-based and all of that, but people don't care. And it's going to cost you a fortune, and you're not going to get the value for all these extra features you put in. So other activities, sales, of course. How are you going to sell your product? Marketing, website construction and operation, and how are you going to develop new products and services? if that's the type of business that you need to do that. And a key consideration, and something we may not always think of, do you have to do it yourself in-house, or can you outsource it? And it doesn't mean sending it off to China or India. But if you're selling a product, let's say it's flooring, and you need to do the installation, do you have to have your own installation team full time when they're only probably busy maybe 30 hours a week? Or can you set up a partnership with an independent installer and just use him or her on a project by project basis? So you can look at what are the key things that you need to consider, and is it something that you must do yourself? And sometimes it will be. Or is it sometime you can partner with an outside person or company and have them work with you? Okay, resources, buildings and equipment. That's all capital assets, fixed assets as well. Financial, have a great relationship with your bank. Really, really important. They can help you during the tight times. And they're not going to call your line of credit in if they like you. Intellectual property, do you have any IP? Technology, beyond IP, just inherent technology with your products or how you do business. And of course, human resources. I mean, the relationship we have with our employees, they're our most important partners. So we need to protect them, take care of them, keep them focused and productive. So key partners. So we talk about partnerships, and we can have vendors as partners. So those are providing market research, marketing support, which can be companies that are maintaining our website, our blog, taking care of direct mail or email activities, training employees. Don't forget, employees need some training and nurturing. If we just ignore them and tell them, yeah, just get back to work, they're going to get back to work with another company in a short term, probably. So we need to keep developing and staying in touch with and helping our employees. Credit terms, as we talked about, banks and lending institutions are important. And then how much inventory do you want on the shelf? This is assuming you're manufacturing or selling a physical good of some type. Just in time is always the rage. And now, of course, with the pandemic, there's been a lot of challenges with that. But just-in-time inventory is brilliant to minimize the amount of cash sitting on your shelf. And the key is to maintain just the right amount of inventory. And strategic partners. So you can have a partnership with a different business, and it's an extension of what you do, and it's a symbiotic relationship. So the example here is pet stores with vets, groomers, boarding kennels, nutritionists, and there can be many more like that. So it's the two companies working together to provide the customer with more or less an almost seamless transition into areas that they need that are related. And these can be very, very strong. And even competitors. Your competitor may have a particular strength where you have a weakness, and they may have a weakness where you have a strength. And if you guys and gals can talk to each other without throwing rocks at each other, then there may be an opportunity for the two of the organizations to get together and come up with an agreement that works for both of you and doesn't become a very competitive agreement. And then, of course, joint ventures for source of capital, risk sharing, and additional skills. Support network, family and friends, accountant, lending institutions, legal, and insurance. And of course, your friendly local skilled SCORE mentor. So we are always available to help at whatever stage you're in with your business. Even organizational structure, businesses grow, and I've had clients say, I've got a real challenge, I need to hire people, but I need to look at the organization, job descriptions, and so on. So that can be something we can help you with as well. And we've got a lot of mentors and members. Diane mentioned it's almost 90 in this chapter alone. A very diverse background, and I think it's the nature of the Sarasota Manatee population. There's a lot of retired business managers, executives. There's a lot of still in business people that have broad backgrounds. And we do what's called co-mentoring. So we have our own internal bulletin board where we share information and we ask for co-mentors and help. And that's where we may end up in a situation where you end up with periodically 2 or more mentors on a particular request. Okay, cost structure. You look at fixed cost versus variable. The fixed cost is, an example would be building lease or mortgage payment. That's fixed. Capital equipment cost, if you've got leases outstanding, that's a fixed cost. So these are costs that do not change. If you do not produce one unit, you still have to pay. Versus variable costs, if you're in production, those are costs that are attributed to the raw materials and the labor associated with producing. And ideally, you want to minimize the fixed costs. So that means that you don't want to take 90% of your money and buy a building when it might be more financially advantageous to lease it and keep your cash free so you can invest it in growing your business, hiring people, building sales channels. So the example given here, cabinet shop, for example, where they will need a physical location and they'll have a lot of woodworking and equipment that they need. So those are going to be fixed costs. Okay, so you want to minimize the amount of actual investment in the business and keep the money available to invest in growth areas. So no frills, or minimize the frills. I mean, you'll need electricity for lights and you're going to need air conditioning and so on. So you don't want to go that route. So you look at Southwest Airlines versus Apple. Southwest is cheap, Apple is not. But what Apple focuses on is a perception of more value for the products and services they deliver. Southwest is, bring your own water, carry your own luggage, and you're going to fly cheap. So 2 different business models. Revenue streams. Okay, transactional sales. Transactional is one time. So you may have customers that come to your business only for a single purchase of a product or service, and you're never going to see them again. And there's a lot of businesses like that. It works. Versus reoccurring. So this is subscription-based services where you're selling a service that provides and delivers either like food or some service on a monthly or quarterly basis. Membership service, usage fees. Every time you use your particular service, there's a fee associated with it. So those are 2 different types of transactions, and they both work. And you can mix the 2. So you can sell products and also sell reoccurring sales and have customers come back. And that's it. So I thank you once again. And if you're interested, we're always looking for volunteers. It's a fantastic organization to be with. And we cover many different areas. Internally, we're an organization, so we have different committees and opportunities. If you only want to mentor, you can mentor. But we have education, which Diane chairs, marketing, fundraising, and so on. So lots of opportunities. And if you want to mentor, just go to our website and click on here, find a mentor. And you'll go through a process. You'll come into our chapter, the information, and you'll be contacted. And you can look at the other resources we have: workshops and meetups, podcast, a scorecard, and we have a wealth of templates, tools online, and also prior webinars that are recorded, and the recordings are generally available. And if you would, please complete the survey. It's important to us. We need to deliver information and skills and ability to the local community that helps you meet your goals. And we're always looking for how can we do that better? How can we better serve our community? And are there any topics you'd be interested specifically in seeing? So, please help us help you and refer SCORE to those that may benefit from our programs. That's good too, because we're here for the community.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Diane.
We can't hear the applause of everyone, but I'm sure they agree with me that you did a masterful job explaining a fairly complex system. But when you break it down into the 9 different boxes, it's not that overwhelming. We do have a question from Anonymous. Anonymous would like to know, is there a good source to find sample BMCs for various types of businesses?
I don't know of one for the businesses. What you could do, if you go to the library and you look at the already completed business plans as examples, you're going to find the elements in these business plans that would map into the BMC. Right?
I have done some searches on online for various BMCs for businesses, and there's a wealth of knowledge out there.
Okay.
I did give everyone in the chat a link to a sample BMC. It's a blank BMC that they could fill in. I've also given you all in the chat, if you haven't seen it, a link to the print marketing webinar that we gave a few weeks ago that Doug alluded to earlier. And also keep your eye open for the Mergent Intellect webinar on July 20th. The registration is not open for it yet, but it will be in the next few days.
Yeah, here's another point with the BMC. As we talked about, it's a fairly common tool. If you do a Google search on business model canvas, as Diane pointed out, you're going to find there's a lot of information online. And it's common. A lot of companies use it. So that can be a basis as well for some examples. But I'll tell you, the best example of a BMC is to go through it together with a mentor. And you'll develop the information and the questions on the go just for yourself. And the process is really healthy because it makes you think, it makes you ask some questions. And you don't know those today, but you will as you go through it. So it's really valuable to step through.
Well, we can offer you insight. Sometimes you've got, a narrow focus. You're thinking that just this one outlet would be an opportunity, but we might have some experience that would say, yeah, that's a great opportunity, but had you thought about these other elements? So it's just an opportunity to talk to other people, kick around at the water cooler, as it were, some ideas, and we are absolutely available for you.
I'll tell you, the clients, when I review this with them and I ask them what they like and dislike, frequently they come back and say that, you're coming at it from a different perspective, things I didn't ask or see. And I said, that's the value of having outside people that may not know your business. We're making observations and asking questions, and you're answering them. And that's the real strength in having more than one person work together on something like this.
And SCORE mentors typically are pretty creative in their thinking process. How can I get a mentor? I live in Tampa, Florida. Can I get a mentor to critique my 2 websites? You betcha, John. You betcha. Just go to score.org and apply for a mentor. They will assign you a mentor at a chapter near you. So absolutely.
We have a Tampa chapter.
I think there's an active Tampa chapter, and so go for it, John. Yes, score.org and click on apply for a mentor. So we have no more open questions, Doug. Apparently you did too good a job. There's absolutely no more questions that someone would like to ask. No more questions in the chat. So I think we're out.
Well, I thank everybody. It's really great sharing this with you. We're really here to help. We love working with local entrepreneurs and businesses. So, please come back, ask for a mentor, and certainly partake of the other webinars that we've got coming up. So thank you again.
Well, and thank you, Doug, for your time and expertise. We truly appreciate it. Bye all.